Once I dreamt I was chopping meat off of meat hooks with butter knives and feeding it to robotic heads. There were no bodies, just the heads chomping down on the meat I threw to them. And while doing that I was also talking to an aristocratic cockroach called Mr. Johnson, who I knew was an aristocrat because he was wearing a tuxedo, a monocle, and was fat. He had a deep, raspy kind of voice, and I don't recall our conversation. However, at one point he said he had to go, and I asked, "But Mr. Johnson, won't you stay for dinner?" To which he replied, "No, and you won't either." And then I woke up. 1 or 2 minutes before my alarm rang. Mr. Johnson became a joke among my group of friends, and a supervillain alongside Mal Pig, the evil swine. This one time at a sleepover when I was like 8, I woke up from a dream where me and my friend were running through a white tunnel, and right as I got to the end, I woke up. I saw the same friend sitting up, and I asked him if he was able to sleep, because I thought he was awake all night. He said he just woke up from a dream that he described as the same as mine. I work at a zoo and we had crazy tigers. They have since been sent to a big cat sanctuary because they never really adjusted well to our location. But they used to sneak and ambush you when walking by their enclosure. No joke, you are minding your business and they would rush and pounce at the fence in full kill mode and scare the ever living it out of you. The tigers are gone and in their new home. But there's a number of us that still have tiger nightmares. Was having sex with someone, was into it, but I couldn't see their face. Somehow they wouldn't turn around to face me. Continued on until finally I pulled out, got around them and pushed them on their back, and it was my brother's face on a woman's body. Immediately woke up and could not fall back asleep with my mind filled with terror and disgust. Most what the duck dream ever. Being in a completely white room with no perceivable door or windows. Around the entire room about 3 inches from the ceiling is a model train track that comes into the room through a small tunnel from one wall, wraps the whole room and then returns into a tunnel at the opposite side of the first wall. It is also completely white. On this track comes a small white model tank, smoking from its barrel the entire time it travels round the room. I get an anxious feeling of displacement. Like the odd sensation you get if you take your thumb and push it as far as it will reach between your pointer and middle finger. I don't know why that specific action makes me get the same feeling of displacement, but it's the closest thing to it that I've been able to find out in the waking world. I have this dream around 5-6 times a year, and thus has been happening for more than 10 years now. I have no idea why. Well, last night I dreamed that the OG Disney characters, Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse, Goofy, etc., were in a grunge rock band and I was at one of their concerts. It was weird and I have no explanation for it. Ahsoka Nye West seeks my help moving his furniture out of an apartment. Also, all the furniture is assembled out of cereal boxes, Cheerios, Fruit Loops, Raisin Bran, Chex, etc. I actually had this dream 3 nights in a row. Also 8 or 9 giant anacondas had a battle royale in my backyard during a monsoon. Water up to my ankles while I just stood and watched. Every time an anaconda killed one it would consume the loser and grow in size. Eventually one titanic anaconda was left which slithered into the woods behind my house. Osakut Russell was a Pokemon trainer, but he was like, really into it. Yelling attacks out, throwing his fists in the air. Whenever he'd get a KO he would lose his damn mind. And even me and other trainers would look at each other and talk about how Kurt Russell needs to take it down a notch. I once dreamt that my mild-mannered husband casually reaches out of our car window at a grocery store, grabbed a passing woman by the hair and sliced her face off with a sharp knife. He dropped it on the center console and sped off, never looking at the road, but making eye contact with me while he silent bit off each of his fingers. I get sleep paralysis a lot. Try having a demon-like thing standing over you and you can't move or scream. Getting lost from Disneyland and then led back through the sewers by a group of Minecraft villagers was pretty surreal. I once had a dream where I was walking through an incredibly vivid but unfamiliar city. During the dream I was quite intent on examining my surroundings and accidentally walked onto the street where I ended up getting hit by a car and I woke up. Fast forward to a few days later and we were on a road trip. We stopped for lunch at a little town near Canberra. After getting out of the car I started looking around and I got some deja vu vibes. It looked and felt eerily similar to my dream. For the next few minutes I was running through what I could remember of the dream and comparing it to the town. Unbeknownst to me I had started wandering onto the road during my contemplations. At this point I reached the part of my dream where I got hit and I suddenly just decided to stop walking. A car sped past maybe a step away from me. Had me rattled but I was alright. Anakin Skywalker killed me by repeatedly ramming my head against the side of a toilet in my bathroom. This is the earliest nightmare I can remember. So for some reason, my mom was trapped in one of those mini pinball maze things, don't know the exact name, and we brought her to the doctors for whatever reason. And after a while the doctors concluded the only way to free her was to skin me alive. And the next thing I know, I see the doctor slowly coming towards me with a scalpel as I scream and everything fades to black. The next thing I know is the doctor, my dad, and my mom, who is now free, are all standing there happy. They all look at me as the next image is me completely skinned. And then I woke up. It's been 10 years and I still remember that ducked up dream. I was walking down Hanging Bridge with my hiking friends until it collapsed and we all fell to river beneath. I survived and I swam to the land and noticed that there is small house there. I was going to ask help there but when I opened the house door I realized that it was sauna and there was demon baby inside of it and that baby killed me. Weird as duck. I was part of a task force to take down a Godzilla-sized mosquito without wings in the inner city. This was when I found out that the whole you wake up when you die concept was BS. Because every time I died I would respawn. It was like Groundhog Day but instead of learning to manipulate people in small town Pennsylvania, I was getting impaled by a monstrous insect. Edit. This was before the Tom Cruise movie of a similar premise came out, but it was pretty close to that. I was sat on a bench very late at night with a few of my friends. We weren't talking or anything. Then it sort of zoomed out so I was watching from very far away, then one of those semi-sphere cameras like detached from the building it was connected to and it was connected to this like extending metal pole. And then the camera rushed super fast into my face, the me that was sat on the bench, and I woke up. I didn't put the clues together until years after the fact, but when I was 3 years old I dreamed about my own circumcision. Except the medical personnel were all wearing bee costumes, for whatever reason. Still haven't figured that one out. My wife just had a dream that I was pregnant, a male, and I gave birth to a puppy. She then took the puppy and nursed it herself. This was last night. I have no words. I had one recently where I was snorting meth with Mel Gibson in my kitchen and he kept trying to kiss me, it was odd. A few months back I had the weirdest dream I've ever had. It was simple. The dream started with me waking up and following the routine I follow every day, and it kept repeating. I would wake up and follow my routine. Until one day I got accepted into my dream uni and the dream fast forwarded a bit to the day I moved countries to go to the uni, and then again. The routine cycle repeated itself, but some days of the cycle were different. I'd meet people and have conversations. To the point I even had a girlfriend and eventually got married with her. After graduating, I got my dream job, bought a house, 2 cars, had a family. Life was literally perfect, until suddenly it fast forwarded again and I had somehow lost all of that, except for a dog. I was really depressed in the dream by that point. And then one day in the dream I went to sleep and when I woke up IRL. Problem with when I woke up IRL is that I was completely lost and confused. My alarm startled me and I didn't touch it for a second because I didn't realize what was going on. The dream was so lifelike that when I woke up I had completely forgotten that I had a real life. It took me a few seconds to snap out of it and remember where I was. Shape-shifting vampire aliens committed a bloody massacre on people that happened to all look like Nosferatu, but they were totally normal humans, and took on the shape of a Shiba Inu. Mulder and Scully were blaming the murders on either this random Saint Bernard or my new Phoenix because the Shiba would have been too small to murder about 20 people. The Shiba was taunting me that my dog was going to be taken away because no one would believe it was the Shiba. I was being arrested for shoplifting for some weird reason and I stopped the officers and convinced them I was dreaming. Then spent the rest of my dream banging my head against a wall to try to wake myself up. Obvious I couldn't feel anything because I was in a dream, but I couldn't wake myself up and it felt like forever. The weird part was knowing I was dreaming in my dream and trying to wake myself up from the dream without being able to. I was really young and I slept with a lot of blankets. I always had them tucked in tightly. I honestly can't remember if there was any build-up or not, but all I remember was hanging from a cliff by my feet and a witch looking down at me. I woke up and I was hanging from my bed upside down by my feet. They were caught on the covers. I have two types of recurring dreams that are weird. The first is that I am back either in high school or college and there is a class or two that I have just completely ignored all year, and then I'm freaking out about how I am going to pass. The weirdest thing is that halfway through the dream I remember I graduated college years ago, but it somehow makes sense that I'm back in school for some reason. The second is that I find a hidden door in the house I grew up in and it leads to a mysterious hidden room or sometimes an entire floor. I really enjoy these because it's really cool exploring these places and trying to figure out why they were blocked off and how long it has been since someone has been there. The dude with the big ears from Nickelodeon Space Cases dressed as a Hell's Angel biker attempted to lure me into his van with candy. In my dream, my dad was with me. I turned around and my dad had booked it around the corner, without me. Demoralizing.